Hi, I'm Terry Forbes, and I'm your host for the Gash'em Offense. And this is our second podcast. Now, I'm really looking forward to talking to you about football for the next 45 minutes, and I'm excited to tell you more about the Gash'em Offense. I'm also excited to show you several Gash'em plays later in the podcast. These are going to be plays that are taken from college and pro teams, and we have them on video. We'll use them as coaching tools, and you'll get a good feel for what is a Gash'em play by watching them. So that's coming up. Now, each podcast that we do builds on the one before it. So you may choose at this time to go back and, if you have the opportunity, look at the first podcast first and do that now. But if you don't want to do that, or you can't do that, that's fine. I think you'll catch on. So keep listening, keep viewing. We'll be fine to go. And let's start by reviewing a few of the things that you learned in the first podcast about the Gash'em Offense. And we were talking about the pillars that the Gash'em Offense rests on, the main things that describe the Gash'em Offense. And we're going to put a card on the screen. So at different times you can take a picture of that, perhaps pause the action, take a picture, and you can take your notes in that way if you choose to do that. Okay, the first pillar is Gash'em is a collection of explosive and chunk plays that are designed to get a first down every single snap. Second thing is the Gash'em Offense wants to have a big advantage on every play. On running plays or quick screen type plays, we want to have more blockers at the point of attack than you have defenders. So we have a numerical edge. On passing plays, we want to work so that our receiver is wide open. And I think you'll see from the videos that we can do that on a high percentage of plays. Third part to the Gash'em Offense, the pillar, is tempo. And we will go from when the quarterback says break in the huddle to the snap of the football in 4 seconds. Not a very long time. We will never wait for the defense. We will never even wait for our scout defense. We are going to go when we are ready, and we are dictating to the defense the tempo we're going to use. 4, we will have unusual formations and plays from those formations, obviously. That will constitute 30% of our offense, which 30% is a significant amount. Proven plays that we take from those colleges and pro teams, like the ones you're going to see in a bit, that will constitute 70% of our offense. And we will take 2 or 3 plays or 1 play from different universities, a lot of the best universities in the country and the good pro teams, plays that are successful. We're going to take the best plays from those teams and put them in a collection of plays. So we're going to have a big collection of plays that are the best plays from the best teams. Okay, I want to just mention, I said 30% is unusual plays and formations. 70% are those proven plays. That is 100%. So in Gash'em, we will run nothing else. We want every play we run to be unfamiliar to the defense. We do not want to run a play where they say, oh, okay, yeah, somebody ran this 2 weeks ago against us, and we kind of have an idea of how to stop that because we've seen it before and we're comfortable. No, we want to make sure that the defense is very uncomfortable. We want them, no matter where we're playing the game, to feel like they're on foreign soil. And they are going against us, and we are dictating to the defense. No matter how big they are, no matter how strong they are, we are dictating to them. Okay, that's the review. Let's talk about some other key aspects that are new to you for the Gash'em offense. And the first one, let's just talk about how we go from the coach on the sideline to get the play, and then finally to the snap. The coach has an easy job calling plays in Gash'em. He has done the bulk of his work on the weekend before the game. So really on game night, all he really needs to know is the approximation of what the down and distance is. And he should be ready to get a play in. Now he can do that. Remember, the Gash'em plays do not set up other Gash'em plays. For the most part, they are very individual plays that can be run in any order. Also, Gash'em plays are not designed to attack a defensive alignment. So coach doesn't have to figure out what defense they might be in this down and distance and figure out his play call there. All he's got to do is come up with a good 2nd and 7 call. Whatever he wants to call that fits that down and distance, he calls. Okay, so he gets it in quick, and quick is the important thing. The quarterback, as soon as he gets a play, he gives it to the team. Tells them to listen up, and then he says the play, let's use the example, Boston College. So they hear that, and each player has 2 things he's got to accomplish. He's going to have 5 or 10 seconds to do these. First, he's got to get his mouth guard in, and he's got to get his pads just the way he wants them. So, well, he won't have any other time to do this. This is the time he has to do it. Then, he knows the play is Boston College. So he has to know, where exactly do I line up so I can run to that spot as fast as I can as soon as the quarterback calls break. And secondly, what's my job in Boston College? What am I supposed to do, and how does that work within that play? Okay, those 5 or 10 seconds are up. And the quarterback then says the word sugar for our sugar huddle. Now we are 3 yards from the ball. We've been 3 yards the whole time. He calls sugar, and the entire team comes to attention, ready to hear the call and the break, because they're going to be sprinting as soon as they hear it. He will say just the words, very simple, Boston College, break. And off they'll go. 10 guys will fly to their positions as fast as they can and freeze in those positions. Now, he'll look around, and when the last guy is getting to his position and getting set, the quarterback will yell the word freeze. Players will remain still so we don't get a penalty for 1 second. Quarterback will yell go. Center will snap the ball, and we will be off running Boston College. Doesn't matter what the defense is doing, whether they're lined up pretty well for it or whether they are in complete confusion. We will snap the ball. The second aspect of that we're going to talk about is that we want the Gash'em offense to be simple as we can make it. Our play call, we want to be 4 syllables or less as often as possible. So the example we gave you, Boston College, 4 syllables. We also will have the play oftentimes show it'll be run on the screen, on the video by Boston College. So that's not too surprising. Those kids, some of them are football fans and will recognize it. Others never watch football. But they'll see enough of that video and they'll see Boston College on the screen. And it helps them think, okay, this is the play that we're running and this is my job in it. Okay, so we want it as simple as possible. They hear Boston College, they know the formation, and they know the play. Second simple thing that we have to be simple. our blocking rules have to be very, very simple. And why is that? Well, we are trying to create chaos on the defense. We want them to play a helter-skelter defense as often as possible, where they are still not sure where they're at. They're running in different directions at the snap to try to get to where they think they should be, and we're going to snap the ball. Sometimes they'll be lined up in what looks to be a conventional defense, 4-2, 3-4, doesn't matter. We are going to have a blocking rule, one blocking rule for all of those defenses. And so we will be as simple as we can in that regard, and it's necessary because we don't know what we're going to get on defense. But it's an advantage for us, obviously, if we get something really good and we have a lot more players blocking in the area where we're attacking. The next way it is simple is for our quarterback. Our quarterback, starting out, will have no post-snap reads. So once he has the ball in his hands, he is not reading the defense. He's not reading our receivers. He is able to execute his position and his techniques with precision to the best of his ability, because he's not going to have his mind cluttered with a lot of different things. He'll be able to look off receivers and defensive backs and do different things that the average high school quarterback can't do. But he can do it because he knows who he's throwing it to when the ball is snapped. He will have very few pre-snap reads, and they will be very simple. Basically, he will look in some situations to his left and see what's out there, how many people, and who the players are. Looks to his right, looks how many people, who the players are. He'll say, it looks better to my left. And he will throw to his left. But he'll know that before he gets the ball. So even when he has a pre-snap read, he won't have anything post-snap to do. So we want it as simple as we can in the Gash'em offense. Third key aspect of the Gash'em offense is that we are going to have 3 parts to every play. The first part will start when the quarterback says break in the huddle. And it will go until our players are lined up and they freeze in their position. That is the first part. It's very important. We will evaluate it. We will time it. And we will make sure that that happens as fast, as efficient as possible. Second part is the snap. And the snap is very important. Obviously, we want every direct snap to be perfect. We also want the shotgun snaps. Our center is going to have to practice enough, and we'll have to have a guy who can consistently make fast and accurate snaps to our quarterback, because we want our quarterback not to have to worry about one's going to be head high, next one's going to be knee high. No, he can expect it to come somewhere in his waist area where his hands are and where he can catch it. So our center is a real important person, and we will evaluate his snap every play. The third part to the play is what most people call the play, and that's the execution of the play and the way it finishes. So there are 3 parts of every play, but we will evaluate all 3 every time, every practice play, every game play, to make sure they're all happening at a high level. Now, the Gash'em offense has been designed so that the parts fit together. And oftentimes the parts fit together just like a jigsaw puzzle. And they make the offense so much stronger. Let me give you one example that you already have heard about before. And that is, we have our tempo, where we're going to go from break to snap in 4 seconds. Now, no matter what formation or play we're running, that will put some stress on the defense, because they're not used to going that fast. But it'll be some stress. They'll get used to it a little bit. If we line up in unusual formations, that the defense haven't seen, and they line up, even if we gave them 10 seconds to line up, they would still feel stress because they don't know, geez, am I in the right position? Look around, just see, is everybody covered? There's going to be stress there. However, if you put the two together and you line up in an unusual formation and you get ready and snap the ball in 4 seconds, those 4 seconds are going to be chaotic on defense because that stress level that you have created has going to increase so many times, tenfold. And the defense is likely to be in a helter-skelter mode and not know what to do. Okay. The Gash'em offense is also going to be great fun for your players and for you coaching. Big plays will be plentiful. We will be calling big play after big play. Not all will hit, but many will. And that is exciting. What else is exciting is the players are going to go into the game knowing exactly what to do on every play, know where to line up and what to do. They're going to have great confidence because they know where they're going and what's happening. And they know how this is going to unfold. 3 is they will take delight in, oftentimes they just line up and they create such confusion over on defense. They'll see guys running around and not sure what to do, and boom, the ball is snapped. And the next time they line up and the guys are still running around, it takes great delight. There'll be a couple blockers next to each other, maybe 3 on certain plays. And they'll look around and they know the ball is going right behind the guy in the middle. And they look around and there are no defensive players over on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Now, they'll find somebody to block because they got to get their butts off the line and get out of a running back's way. But they're thinking, we got a pretty good chance for a play here because they don't have anybody and we're running the ball right over me. To me, that seems like fun. And that's when we get a chance to dictate to the defense. Again, doesn't matter how strong they are or how tough they are or where they have scholarships to. If they're not there, we have a good play. Okay, been talking about the Gash'em offense for a little bit. Now I'm going to give you a nugget. And this nugget is, what is the best way to learn football and to be a better coach? So I just have some ideas, see if they fit for you. What most coaches do when they're trying to find an offense or a defense, a head coach will look and they'll gravitate towards the hottest programs in the country and the newest techniques and the ones that are going strong. They want to learn those so they can get an edge. And they will try to learn, but at the same time, so will around the country many, many more programs. And when many people are trying to learn how to run a particular offense, then the people on the other side of the ball, the defensive coaches, are going to have to try to learn, okay, how can we stop this? So they'll be going to try to find out. So that's what happens most of the time. Now, what I recommend and what I think is best is don't pick out the hottest offense, the one that everybody else is picking. Go to some place where you think you can learn football from a coach that you respect. Maybe he didn't go undefeated the year before, but you think he can help you, whether it be offense or defense. And tie up with him. So I'll tell you my story, which I think fits here. It was a Saturday, and I was on the football staff at the University of Akron. And I flew into South Bend, Indiana, and interviewed with Lou Holtz for a job at Notre Dame. He hired me, gave me the job, offered it to me. I accepted, and I went to bed that night. Woke up Sunday morning, and I'm on the staff at Notre Dame. And after a while, I marveled, and I was really amused by how much football I learned that night, sleeping. Because at Akron, some coaches had come by. We had some success, and they would ask questions and come by. But now at Notre Dame, it increased more than tenfold. And I just thought that was the craziest thing, because it was just overnight. And I started thinking, I thought, well, perhaps, and maybe, probably, hopefully, I knew more at Akron than they gave me credit for and that they expected. But then on the flip side, maybe I didn't know as much at Notre Dame, because I certainly didn't have time to learn much extra than they give me credit for. So you might be better to talk to guys at Akron rather than Notre Dame. I think it would be more time effective. Also, maybe better than that, it's something I didn't do and I missed out. And that is finding a retired coach in your area or close enough to get to, a couple hours away maybe. Somebody who had great success and that you admired and you think he's, a good coach. He's been out of the game for a year or two, couple years. I would try to approach that person and see if you can sit down and talk football with him. Now, the best thing about him as a source to learn football is he has no team. He has retired, so he doesn't have to worry about 100 football players. He's able to talk to you. He's a football guy. He spent his life in football. And he remembers almost all that he knew the day he retired. So he's got a wealth of information to share and time to do it. And he'll be likely more happy to do it. College coaches are amazing in their generosity of their time and trying to help other coaches. And still, they got a team to coach and they got other things to do, and sometimes have to cut it a lot more short than your retired coach might do. One more thing, and I like this one. I did this at 2 different high schools, and both helped me learn football. It could be all offensive coordinators or all head coaches, but people who are doing the same thing. And that is, get together. Look at in your area of coaches at different size schools who won't play each other. That's a key. Try to find people who won't play each other even if they make it to the state finals, or just very unlikely that they could. And call them up or contact them and see if they'd want to get together and talk football with 3 other coaches. So you call up 3 others and you're the 4th. I think that number works best, because if you have 4 coaches and sometimes something happens for one, he can't make it, there's still 3 there, and that works pretty good. If you have 3 and one can't make it, now you're down to 2, and that's okay, but not as good. So you do things, you just set it up, specific day, like every other Tuesday or the first Wednesday of the month, or whenever you want to do it. Once a month is maybe what we did a lot. And you have an agenda, just a starting spot. Let's use kicking game as just a starting spot, for example. Now, once you start in, I found that those guys would be willing, they want to say everything they can good about their program and what they're doing and what has worked for them. So I didn't see anybody holding back. They wanted to think that they're a pretty good football coach, and there's really no way that they were going to pay by letting you in on some of their secrets. Now we'd start talking. We'd talk about the kicking game. You'd get comments from like a coach saying, we're talking about punt returns. He says, I don't have anything to offer. I'm listening to you guys because our punt returns were really average. But I had a kickoff return that we scored 3 touchdowns on. Let me show you that. And that's the way the conversations would go. And then somebody would talk about a problem they're having with their principal. Now, all the coaches have principals or ADs or, like problems. So they kind of talk that out. And they talk about booster clubs and how you can get more money and how you can do different things. And then somebody steers it back and says, okay, we're talking about kicking games. How about your kickoff team? Who's got something to offer about kickoff team? And we go that way. So we try to get back to the subject with a moderator, but that's what we did. So just wanted to give you a feel for what I think are good ways to learn football. Are you ready to watch some videos and see some Gash'em plays? I know I certainly am. Let's go to the screen. Okay, this is Auburn University running a no-huddle offense on their indoor facility. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to see the intensity and the discipline with which they line up and they're working. Now, I think you can do even better than this. This may have happened after a 2-hour practice. I don't know. But you do see good intensity and you see good discipline. Nobody's moving. They're free. When they freeze, they freeze. And I just wanted you to be able to see that. You'll see center snaps. 5 yards exactly, and they'll be right on the money every time with good speed. Now, it takes no talent to do this. Your high school players, if you are a high school coach, your high school players can do this just as well as the Auburn players. Because it takes no talent, it just takes a want-to have to get over there fast. And that's the reason I showed you that. Okay, this will be a quick look at a sugar huddle. They are 2 yards from the ball. We'll be 3 yards. You see the quarterback, he gives his break call. And the instant he gives his break call, now they're lined up different than we will, but they snap and they get ready as quick as they can. In some cases, we might have guys run into different parts of the field very quickly. Now watch number 55, this offensive right tackle, and he has the stance that I would recommend. He breaks, he should have his hands on his knees. He was bent low is a thing that I really liked, so that if it's a short yardage play, he could get under and he could come out and block low. See 55 there? I think that's pretty doggone good and a good way for our guys to line up. For whatever reason, they're lined up all different ways, but that's the stance that I like the best. Okay, this is a Gash'em play. You can't see very well on the play, but a quarterback just hands the ball to the tailback who runs over left tackle for a touchdown. It's Ohio State on offense, Clemson on defense. Now, it's a good replay, and that's what I want you to see. Now, Ohio State has done something different with their tempo. As you can see, on defense, you can't tell me whether they're supposed to play a 3-4 defense or a 4-2 defense or a 4-3 or whatever it is. That is a helter-skelter defense, and that is a type of defense that we want teams to be in a lot of times. Ohio State is ready to get the snap, and this guy has his hand up on his face mask. This guy is yelling to other players what he thinks they should do. This guy's standing straight up over the center, and there's a guy, he's almost right next to him, touching him. Guy's in the back. Now, you know already that the play is this guy carrying the ball off the tackle. Do you think number 75 and 88 are feeling pretty good about this play? That's where the fun is. They're thinking, I think we got a pretty good play because we're running right off here. And one thing is that Clemson, their defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach at Oklahoma, Brent Venables, he spends a lot more time with these guys in orange than any high school coach, defensive coordinator, head coach, whatever, ever gets to spend with his guys. So these guys are well schooled, and they still come out and are in this type of a formation because they changed tempo and they screwed things up for them. Now, if we were running our Louis formation, the same run, we'd have two more guys out here, and they probably would be lined up about the same. So we'd have even a better mismatch for him to do it. But look what happens. There's a block. Clemson has football players. They're running to the ball. They know they're in big, big trouble. But here's a double team here. Here's a couple guys blocking one over here. Running back just goes, finds a hole. And he's gone to the races. That's our slash play. Simple play. Okay. Now watch the quarterback. He gets the ball. He just gives it to number 8, the tailback, and then watch him boot to the right. And we'll talk more about that later, why he did that. Okay, this particular play we call Louisville. Now you notice North Carolina State is running it, but we have another play we called NC State. So Louisville is running this on the same flash drive, the next play, but this one is better from a teaching standpoint, I believe. Now, you see this receiver has come in motion across formation. And I don't have anything against motion, but it does one thing, and that means it eliminates your chance of snapping the ball in 4 seconds after the break call in the huddle. So we're not going to have hardly any motion, almost none, in the Gash'em offense. We will just line him up over here in trips. Okay, you look at the formation. You have a split end by himself to the boundary, trips to the field, and a right halfback. Now, this corner in this formation almost always is going to, as long as this receiver stays in a deep third, he's almost always going to cover him, okay? In so many coverages. So we think that's pretty well locked up. And if he comes to the inside and stays in a deep third, this guy will probably go with him, which he does. If this guy runs a wheel route down the sideline, if you look at the formation, there's only two guys who can cover him. This linebacker and this safety. Well, that's pretty good for the defense there because oftentimes you only have one guy who can cover the route, but they have two. Okay, but let's see what happens. Quarterback's under center. He throws a backward pass to the receiver. Sure looks like a quick screen going on out there. What are these two guys doing? There's the receiver and the corner following him, just like we expected. These guys are doing what? Well, they've been playing football for 10 years. They're football players. They run to the football. They want to get extra hats on the tackle. And that's what they've been trained to do. But we want to take advantage of what they've been trained to do, and we delay this guy. To my liking, he didn't delay quite long enough. He doesn't have to hurry. He can hide there. He can block this defensive end for a little while and then go on his pattern. He doesn't have to get very deep. These guys are flying to the football. Take a look. Look at it. Those are the guys that got to cover the far sideline. Not going to be able to do it. 87 has caught the ball. Oftentimes, if you look at all the double passes, there is rarely any pressure on the passer. Sometimes, but rarely. And that is because it's something unusual, and guys are just looking to try to figure out what's going to happen next. Is he going to run the ball? What's he going to do? Well, he's not going to run it. He's going to throw it. But it's a pretty simple pass. You don't have to be a great thrower, a great passer to do this. My criteria for being able to be a passer or a receiver in the Gash'em offense is, can you play catch in the park? Guys go to the park, they say, hey, go down and run to the post. Boom, I'll throw you the ball. If you can throw the ball decently to the receivers in the park and they can catch it, then these guys can play receiver and passer, no matter whether they're a flanker or whatever position they are. So here he catches the ball and goes in. I'll let you watch it again from the start of the play. There's the motion. Got to be a backward pass. You can only have one forward passer. It's a penalty, obviously. But definitely backwards. We want to get our receivers wide open. Gives us a big advantage. This next play is called Ohio State. Ohio State is running it. You see that they did trips into the boundary. They motioned to that, but we'd start off with trips into the boundary. But this back right here, replacing the quarterback, when the quarterback goes to hand off, this is a slot back coming across, and obviously a legal receiver. This was a split end. Ball's on a hash. He lined up a yard inside the hash, and he's running to the inside, and this corner is taking him. The quarterback fakes the same play that you just saw a little while ago against Clemson when the tailback ran for a touchdown. The line is showing run blocking. Quarterback boots just like he did, gets a lot of depth. Receiver comes out. He gets a yard past the line of scrimmage and runs parallel away from the defense, catches the ball, and there's no players there. You got a receiver wide open with open field. Now, we like this play on 3rd and 1 to 5 yards to go because we think even if he's covered, it's going to be tough to stop the pass. So he catches a pass and you tackle him, he's probably going to make 3 or 4 yards. And so he'll probably make our first down. So it's a good play. If you cover him, it's still a good play. But if you don't cover him, this is the play you get. You get an explosive play that gains 15 or 20 yards, makes your first down. There's your trips. There's an end, a slot who's coming back, and a third guy who we probably line him up as a flanker out there. Here's our split end. Now, this defensive end is an important guy because we're not going to block him. We're going to show run and hope that he closes and tries to tackle the tailback from behind. And that's what he's looking for. Okay? So he's taking himself out of the play. The quarterback, you will notice where this line is. It's at the 31-yard line. Quarterback hands off. Now, if he stayed 6 yards deep, let's say, at the 37, and this guy didn't react quite that way and rushed the quarterback because he's not being blocked, he could mess this play up. He could sack the quarterback or tip the pass or do something bad for us. But our quarterback's going to a depth of 10 yards. Important that he gets there. If he's at 10 yards, ready to throw 34, no matter how he played it, he might put a little pressure on him, but not enough to affect this little pass out into the flat. You see one more, I'll let you look at the replay and see one more look at it and get an idea. This play is called Ohio State. 4 syllables. There's the crossing. Slot back comes right in where the quarterback was, and we got a lot of action there. A lot of guys going in different directions. There's 34. And you see that he's closing behind this tackle. There's a lot of ground between him and the quarterback. They got a problem. We're going to throw it out to this guy, and he's got 15 yards to work with. If he makes, now they do have people coming and running to the ball pretty good. This is Penn State, and they got good players. They're going to be running to the ball. Okay, this play is quad post wheel, and it's run by Tennessee. You'll see the quads up here. Now it's an unbalanced line. So the center is surrounded by the 2 guards and the 2 tackles. But they have 2 ends on the line of scrimmage. Now when you have that, this end is ineligible because he's got an end outside him. But the guys in blue are likely not to know that and to realize what's going on. Then there are 2 flankers to get their quads, a running back and a quarterback. It's going to be a drop back pass, and you've got a 5-man blocking section here of linemen, plus the back's going to stay in. So we got good protection. We got 6 guys blocking for the quarterback. What they do, and what I really like, is they take this inside guy who's ineligible. For all purposes, he's really like an offensive tackle. He cannot catch the ball. He cannot go downfield and block, but he can do whatever he wants behind the line of scrimmage. So if you look to see what he does, he's going to belly back and act like a receiver. Now, I don't think he does a great job of acting like a receiver, but he still occupied this man pretty much. Enough. These 2 guys, okay, him and him, they are going to go to the inside. They want to go to the inside. This guy does take a shot at this guy and slows him up. You'll see that. He is going to come on the inside shoulder of this man and then run the wheel down the sideline. So that's the play you see. There goes. He's bellying back, looking like the guy. And look at, they're covering him. Now, I don't know if Kentucky here on defense, how fast Tennessee lined up and showed him that. But I know that if we do it in 4 seconds, they're going to have a lot less time to figure out who's eligible and who's not. He will definitely be covered. So these guys are coming down there. He's taking a shot at this guy. But these 2 guys are running, and you see that these 2 guys are running with them. They realize there are 2 guys who are coming down here, and they're covering him. The unfortunate situation is he's ineligible, and he can no longer cover this guy. But he makes another 25 on his own and turns it into a 65 or 70-yard touchdown. And that is good. We always like guys running after the catch. That is a Gash'em play. The defense assumes the guy's eligible who isn't and cover him, and then they don't have enough men. So we get a receiver wide open. Okay, here you see motion coming across, and there's a fake sweep. Now, rather than have the motion, we just line that guy up at left halfback and give the fake sweep. He might not have as much speed coming through, but he's still going to put some pressure on this cornerback, who, with the ball at the 3-yard line, has run responsibilities. He cannot discount the run coming at him and just bang on this receiver, for example. He's got to be aware of the run fake that he's getting. So he does what he's supposed to do. Quarterback has faked to this man, starts forward. Now, when he started forward, it looked like a quarterback power, quarterback draw, whatever. It looked like quarterback's going to keep the ball. And these two linebackers stepped up. And the ball's at the 3-yard line, short yardage, down at the goal line. They got to step up. You can't let a guy run right over the goal line. So he takes a couple steps forward. They come up. And here you have your split end, who did not split very wide to begin with, is in the back of the end zone. The only guy who could possibly cover him is that referee. The official has a chance to cover him. Other than that, certainly not this guy. So he gets to the middle to back of the end zone, catches an easy jump pass for a touchdown. I like this play. This is what we try to do. You put this guy in a bind because he gets a fake coming at him. You have these two guys stepping up to stop the run and not worried about their pass responsibilities. And yet these guys knew exactly what was happening. And this guy knew he just had to get to that spot and he'd be wide open. So look at the whole play. Look at the quarterback and what happens. Fake. Don't know how you stop that. And those are the plays we want to run. Those are the plays we want to take from different teams because they should be effective. They won't work all the time. Even this play will not work all the time, I guarantee it. Something will happen occasionally. But percentages are on our side because it is a great play and we will practice it many, many times to be good at it. Okay, and I thought I'd show you Boston College because we talked about it earlier. And this is the play. Obviously, it's being run by Boston College. We even have it up on the screen so that players could see it and remember it. Now, we are going to have a reverse pass going on, throwing the ball to the quarterback. Give you a little feel for that. He's got the ball. The split end is coming inside, and this guy's going to the inside with him. Has to. There's nobody else out there to cover that guy, so he's coming inside. The quarterback is going to run a wheel route. Now, the only two guys who could cover that wheel route, just looking at it, he's got to go stop the run. He's an inside linebacker. The safety could, and also this outside linebacker. They'd be the only guys that really have a chance to get out there and cover, assuming that he does a good job and keeps the cornerback tied up. Okay, here's the reverse handoff. He's going to give it to number 11. Easy to catch pitch. Quarterback has already taken off. Let's look at what was natural for the defense to do. He's got the ball. This safety is run support. Realizes, uh-oh, here comes a reverse. Maybe I got to get back to here to stop that reverse. Not even thinking maybe about the quarterback. Let's look at that outside backer. See what he does. He's right along the line. He's in pretty good shape to stop it. But he doesn't see it. He sees he has the ball and still thinks that he comes back, makes a mistake. We want our receivers wide open. Here's the replay. Let's just see it one more time. He's coming to block. They figured it out that they need another blocker, so this left half comes over and blocks. This guy's got the football. Touchdown. Okay. Now, before we end, I'm going to give you one more nugget. It has to do with Dan Shaw, who's a player on one of my Nordonia teams. And Dan was a fullback for us, a senior, type of guy who would do whatever you wanted him to do. Very coachable, tough, not very big, 5'7", maybe 120 75 pounds, decent speed, not great speed, and he was our backup fullback. It seemed like he was a fullback, and that was his position. And he backed up his best friend. Steve Keeney was a senior fullback, both seniors. Keeney had the intangibles that Shaw did. He would very coachable, do all the right things, try hard, give you good effort and toughness. But Keeney was bigger, and he was faster, and he was a better football player. So he entered the season. Keeney was our number 1 fullback. Shaw was our number 2 fullback. We had a lot of good players, so we didn't need them at other players very much, other positions. They'd back up a little bit on defense, but they were mainly offensive players at that one position. Keeney enters the season, and he's doing fine. He's doing a good job. But in the 4th game, he gets injured. And he comes out of the game, and Dan Shaw comes in, and not a big drop, not a noticeable difference. Shaw knows exactly what to do. He does it to the best of his ability. It usually was good enough, and just because he gave it such good effort, and we win the game. And we get the diagnosis that Keeney is likely to be out 5 weeks. So Dan Shaw becomes our number 1 fullback. And he's a starter in our 5th game, and he starts for 5 games in a row. We won all 5 games, so we are still undefeated after 9 games with Dan Shaw at fullback. And he's done a pretty good job. Now, I should tell you here, just because we're undefeated, the way the playoffs were in Ohio at that time, it changed dramatically, but at that time, only 1 team could make it from each region. And the way the computers worked, we were in a large conference where everybody played each other, so somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and we weren't getting many points. In a nutshell, we started the season knowing there was no way in the world we go undefeated like we did, and we still aren't going to be in the state playoffs. Somebody else, an independent team with a different schedule, would get in. So our 10th game is going to be our last game, for sure. And we're trying to stay undefeated. Now, Keeney came back a little bit. He got healthy enough his 8th week. He practiced. Did some things during the week, did not play in the game on Friday. 9th week, he played some. He came in and he did a nice job, and he was pretty healthy, obviously, or we wouldn't have played him. And he did a good job. So we're getting ready for our 10th game, our last game. And as a coaching staff, we decide it's time to make Steve Keeney the starter again. So we told the players and told the team, and that's what we thought gave us the best chance to win. We said that's the only criteria we have. That's the way we're going. So they were fine with it. Start the game up, and it is cold. It's the 10th week in Ohio. It is snowing. Wind is blowing. So the wind was snowing sideways because of the wind. And it was an ugly night from start to finish. And when our offense would come off the field, Keeney would come over and Shaw would seek him out. And Shaw's on the bench not playing much, hardly at all. And he would tell him, he started the last 5 games, and he would tell Keeney what he saw and how Keeney could do it a little bit better perhaps, or just what he saw, helping in any way possible. And then he took the gloves off his hands and put them on Keeney's hands, because obviously he'd been playing in 20-degree weather without gloves. And that just hit my heart. And it's tough talking about it a little bit, because it was one of the most selfless things that I've ever seen on a football field. And it's Dan Shaw's not one of the best players I ever coached, but he's one of the most memorable. And if you're a player, this is something you might remember, that his teammates saw it too. And it was a touching moment to see him give of himself for the team and for his best friend that way. Enough for Dan Shaw. Let's end this up before I get emotional. Some of you are football fans and you've been watching this podcast and you're curious. The Gash'em offense is new. It's exciting. It's intriguing. And you want to learn about it as much as you can. And that's great. Listen on, watch on. Some of you have a team and you're a head coach and you're intrigued by this offense also. But you have a team, and I welcome you to call me or email me, contact me and say, and with any questions you have, I'll answer them one-on-one. If you call and I don't answer, it means you probably have an area code that I didn't recognize. I don't know your number, and there's so many bad calls coming in that I usually don't answer ones I don't know. So leave a message, give your phone number, be clear about your name, and just that you're calling for Gash'em, and I guarantee I will call you right back. Maybe not immediately, but I'll call you back as soon as I can. So, thank you all for listening. Our next podcast we expect is going to be in a couple weeks, and we're going to try to get ourselves on a regular schedule. But we've made some upgrades, I think you've found, and are excited about what we were able to do. So, have a couple good weeks. Adios.